here to defend that position. Pennsylvania Congressman Khanna. All right, I have a couple of questions just to set the table here. Since Tim Walz has been president, a number of people in Minnesota have been killed by Biden and Harris Mayorkas illegals that were allowed into the country. Can you name one of those people?
I know there were 3 named, 3 killed, and my heart goes out to them.
Do you know? I appreciate that. Do you know the name of any of them?
I don't know the name off the top of my head, no, but
okay, I have another question.
Let me just say this.
You condemn the murder.
I condemn the murder, and I don't think that if you've committed a violent crime that you should be in this country. I have no problem, and I do believe that deportation of people who killed folks like Laken Riley, they don't belong in this country, and that has been my consistent position.
I appreciate that. All right, while we're doing this segment, I'm going to put a list of the worst illegals that have been arrested by ICE agents. I have 16 printed pages here, Congressman. 16. Talking about murder, manslaughter, rape, assault, drugs, children being raped. I'll scroll the list so our audience can see. Now, I know you voted against the Laken Riley Act, but if you look at the president's speech before a joint session of Congress, I didn't see anybody in your party stand for the family of Laken Riley or the family of little 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungary, who was brutally murdered and raped by a Biden-Harris illegal. Did you stand for those families in solidarity and sympathy with them? I didn't see you standing.
I stood for the boy with cancer. I don't remember.
I didn't ask that.
Yeah.
Did you stand? You don't remember, or you didn't stand? Did you stand for the family of Laken Riley when they were introduced? Did you stand for the family of Jocelyn Nungary?
I did not stand because I did not agree with the president's positions on immigration, but I honor that family. I honor their loss.
They lost children. The 12-year-old girl was brutally raped and murdered, and a young nursing student was brutally murdered. And you can't stand for families in solidarity with them? Don't you think that's a little heartless, Congressman?
Sean, my heart goes out to them. They endured a horrible
crime. Why didn't you stand for them then? Why didn't you just stand up for them?
I would be happy to stand for them. I didn't stand for parts of the president's speech that I disagreed with. You know that in politics, you don't have to have assent in this country. We have free speech.
That's not,
I honor them.
You can have all the free speech you want, but I don't think it's political if they're recognizing, a president is recognizing a family that lost a loved one to an illegal. I'd stand for them. I'm scrolling some of the worst criminals that ICE has arrested in Minnesota. And yet these agents that are going against the worst of the worst every day have been called Gestapo, Nazi, fascist, terrorists by the highest ranking people in your party. You have no problem with that?
Sean, I came here not to debate you, actually, to appeal to you and to the President of the United States who watches your show.
How about you answer my question? I came here to interview you. I'm asking, is that the proper language for ICE agents, law enforcement?
I've not used that language, but let me just make my point. I came here to
Will you condemn others for using it? Because it's being used every day. By members of your party.
I don't use that language. I don't think it's appropriate to use that language. Will you condemn, though, the fact that the only conversation you're having about immigrants is them being violent criminals? What about the immigrants who are creating small businesses? What about the immigrants who are creating jobs? What about the immigrants who are contributing to the country? How about doing shows on that?
You know what the problem is? I have no problem. I'm the product of immigration. All 4 of my grandparents came from Ireland at the turn of the last century. I believe in legal immigration. But if you don't respect America's laws, America's sovereignty, America's borders, then you have broken the law. And I think a prerequisite to be an American citizen or have a path to citizenship even is the first thing you got to agree to is obey our laws and respect our Constitution and respect law enforcement.
My father came. He studied at University of Michigan. They came. They got a green card. They followed the laws. But, Sean, my point is just the coverage. If you watch your program or Fox in general, you would think that all these immigrants are criminals. And you know, because you're reasonable, you know that most immigrants, many immigrants in this country are hardworking, are patriots, came to this country because they love America.
I will concede the point, but here's the problem. I have been running a list, and we're not duplicating it since we started scrolling with you, a list. I have 16 pages. I will send it to your office. And these are the worst of the worst. And these are people that were allowed in. And Joe Biden and Kamala Harris lied to the country. Mayorkas lied to the country. They said the border's closed. the border's secure, and they allowed in millions and millions, and among them terrorists, cartel members, gang members, murderers, and rapists, and other criminals. Now, I ask you, why shouldn't ICE enforce the law of the land? Constitutionally, the authority does lie with them. It's called the Supremacy Clause. Jurisdiction lies with ICE. Why won't you support ICE? Why won't you condemn this woman that tried to run that ICE agent over in Minnesota that started all of this?
I believe in secure borders. I believe that we need an agency
Why
that...
won't you condemn it then? Why won't you condemn somebody that uses a car to try to kill an officer?
Because I don't believe that the justification of that is to take an American. By the way, she's an American mother, 37 years old, and she was shot at point blank and killed.
Who took
and
a 4,000-pound vehicle and drove it right towards a law office, a law enforcement officer.
I believe that that officer used excessive use of force and should not have killed that woman. But here's the point, Sean, and I would hope you'd agree. I hope the president, if he's watching,
I wish it didn't happen.
Why don't we de-escalate? Why don't we lower the temperature in this country, lower the rhetoric, figure out how we enforce immigration laws, but not have ICE agents, shooting Americans?
How about you let ICE do their job and you support law enforcement and enforcing the laws of this land? Wait a minute. You are supposed. Well, they're doing it constitutionally.
They're going in Americans' homes. They're harassing American citizens.
Is out there demonizing them, calling them Nazis, Gestapo, fascists, and terrorists.
Used that word.
And that has created your party, and you up to tonight, I've never seen you condemn the rhetoric of the leaders of your party, calling them Nazi, Gestapo, fascist. And what that is doing is inciting people. That is inciting and dehumanizing these officials, and they're now being attacked tonight.
Have you condemned the rhetoric of Republicans who call immigrants rapists and murderers? I mean, come on, there's excessive rhetoric on both sides. My view is let's tone it down.
Some of them are murderers and rapists, and you didn't get off your ass when it came to Laken Riley and Jocelyn Nungaray when you were at a joint session speech. Why not?
Because I believe that the ones who are criminals should be deported, but not.
You could have stood up for their families, and you should be able to put out the names of the people that were murdered. You should care about getting rid of pedophiles, murderers, rapists, traffickers, gang members.
About the pedophiles, the Epstein
files. Last night, an officer was assaulted. Last night, an officer was assaulted by 3 illegals from Venezuela. Do you even give a rip? Do you even care?
Of course I do. Of course look,
and you don't think it's connected to the rhetoric of your party leaders? You don't think any of that's connected?
Sean, what I want to do is say that as Americans, we need to come together. There's been heated rhetoric on both sides. Let's de-escalate it. Let's understand that most people who are law enforcement agents...
Let them do their job.
But do it constitutionally. Do you want them going and harassing
constitutionally?
Okay, let me ask you this, Sean. You don't think they have done any violation in terms of the way they're acting with American citizens? You really...
I would argue in law enforcement, 99.9% are good. There's always a bad apple. If you give me an example and I see it, I will condemn it. By the way, I condemn the officer in the George Floyd case. The guy was handcuffed, put his foot on his neck. I'm a martial artist. It's the most vulnerable part of the human anatomy, and I was one of the first people to say, wrong. Wrong way to handle that. The guy had his hands cupped behind his back. Wrong.
Sean, you see half the country upset, scared with what's going on in Minnesota.
Because they're being whipped up into a frenzy by people in your party. It's got to stop.
Sean,
stop. You take the leadership role. Stop the rhetoric. Let ICE do their job.
If you said that do it constitutionally, look, in Minnesota, there's 20,000 some ICE agents. 10% of them are in this city. 10%.
No, there's about 3,000. All right, I've got a break. But listen, I appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate
I'm really annoyed.
But my hope is to get this country moving in a way that's a civil way forward. That's what my hope is, Sean.
Okay.
And I appreciate
Next time, please stand for families that lost loved ones. That's
I honor that family. I honor that family very much. And
I'm glad you
my
said
heart bleeds for that.
I will pass on your apology.